Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Not a Pro Gardener here, and today we're going to be up here in the tomato tunnel. I'm going to call it. We're going to christen it the tomato tunnel. So today we're going to be talking all about stuff up here. We have to get our QLIPR system in, okay? So as you can see, I took down all the frost cloth and hoops and stuff. I got all that stuff out of here because for the next 10, I checked 2 weather apps. The 10-day forecast, the low was 45 and up. And I checked the 14-day forecast on another weather app just to double check myself because the weather changes all the time. 14 forecast was good. 45 and up was the night temperatures. So I don't need my frost cloth anymore. And if I do, I'll show you a trick if that happens on how I'm gonna do it. So what we got to do today, and by the way, it's 54 degrees outside, full sun, and it is the first weekend in April. Our last frost date for 6B has been April 10th for so many years. Now all of a sudden they changed it up. We're 7A, but I'm trying not to go by my zone. I go by the weather, I go by the night temperatures, and I go by the in-ground temperature. So take the temperature of the ground, watch your weather outside. Now I'm gonna pip up another video if I can find it of, I forget what day it was. I don't know if I say it in the video, but it was about 3 weeks ago. And it's at nighttime. I'm going to show you the temperature inside the greenhouse and outside the greenhouse, and I'll show you my data on my GoV Wi-Fi hydrometer in this tunnel. So you can kind of check that out. And for the update on the tomatoes, it is March 27th, 26th, I think. It's 34 degrees outside here where we are, and I'll pop up an image of what the temperature is in this high tunnel right now. As you can see, the condensation in there. This thing is doing great. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little peek just to see what's going on in here. As you can see, we've got our frost cloth going. All looking good. A little microclimate. And this is one of the outer tomatoes on the edge. This is one of the outer tomatoes on the edge that we're checking out. Everything is just fine. Put that back up. And as you probably can tell by the temperature, it is like 45 degrees in here. 34 degrees outside all night, 45 degrees in here. It's definitely doing its job. So definitely working. I have no complaints there. Usually since we got our ground inside heated up long enough, it keeps itself warm and above the freezing temperatures. With my last video vlog, I'll pip up an image of that so you can kind of see that as well. It has done a wondrous job of taking care of the tomato plants that I planted early. So I'll pop up an image of that other video where I had some data on that as well, because it was 31 degrees outside, 32, 31, and it was 32 inside the tunnel, but that frost cloth kept them warm and I had no damage from that night. And ever since then, it has kept the temperature higher than the outside temperature by at least, I don't know, almost 10 degrees since the ground has warmed up in there. Now, what you can take away from that, besides the fact that I do all these videos for vlogs for me for the future, so I can look back on them to see what works, so I can push that envelope just a little bit to see what I can get away with, because being the first at market with tomatoes, being the first at market with anything to beat out my competitors, for me to have that first homegrown, locally grown, is going to be huge for me. I can grow my customer base that way, get a lot of faces with names, and hopefully attract a lot of foot traffic in my booth. So that's one of the reasons why we do this. You can beat everybody else to market with some homegrown, locally grown tomatoes. On the agenda today is we got to get this trellis system in, and we're going to kind of talk about it. This is my first time ever using this trellis system, so bear with me. Now, today you're going to be going along with me to set up this QLIPR trellis system, and this is my first time, so we're going to probably do a time lapse of me doing all of them, but maybe one or two, so I can show you after I've gotten the hang of it, and you can see exactly how it looks, how it's working, and what it's doing. We're going to be pruning these. We don't want any leaves touching the ground. If you got any tips and tricks, I would love to hear them in the comments. Just leave them down below. So let's go ahead and take a look at them and get after it. Let's go ahead and get a look at what these tomatoes look like. First, these are the Pink Wonder tomatoes. These are the Gin Fizz or Gin Fizz tomatoes, and these are the Edox cherry tomatoes, and these are the Marnor, however you pronounce that, and lastly extra Pink Wonder tomatoes, I believe. Now we're going to go ahead and give you a little look-see of what they all look like. So these Pink Wonders, they already grew 4 inches since last week, it seems. And for the last 3 days, it got down to 35 and 31 degrees. And every night inside this temperature in here was 45 degrees or higher at nighttime, when it was 30 degrees, 35 degrees outside. So once you get this ground temperature warmed up in here and you have moisture in the soil, it'll retain the heat after so long. Hence the season extension tunnel, which is why you do this, in case anybody's wondering. But I'm going to leave these on here. Most people pick those off. Now, most of that depends on like your growing season. So let's say, you know, my growing season is going to be from April to October. I have a long growing season. And if you have like a shorter growing season, then you can grow these warm season crops, I would leave these on. You're going to get your first fruit and it's eventually going to take off. But people that have shorter growing seasons shouldn't just be picking these off unless they really, really want to. That's up to them. But I'm growing for first production here, which is the whole reason why I'm doing this. So if I pick these flowers off, I'm just kind of hurting myself here. These tomatoes are going to be in here till November, or maybe even later, however long I can keep them going. Now, this tomato plant has already started flowering, which is good. I want them to start doing that because I want to get the earliest production I can out of any of these. That's the whole reason of doing this. If I pick those off, I'd be defeating the purpose of putting them in the ground. I may as well have put them in the ground today and not done any of this. So that's why I'm not picking any of these blooms off. I want them to have the earliest production possible to take to market. So now that I got that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and show you the rest of these guys. This is the Marnor. As you can see, these guys look absolutely, if I can get the camera to focus, beautiful. Nice and thick stems. They've got plenty of wind for me opening them all the time. These guys are doing great. Now these guys over here, the Edox cherry tomatoes, these will be my earliest variety. I'll have these first. This is the Edox. They're looking really good, need some pruning. There's a lot of suckers in between that I'm gonna get rid of and take these leaves that are touching the ground off as well. But these guys have really bushed out and they are ready to be on the trellis. Definitely got some little flowers on them. Looking really, really good, guys. On to the Gin Fizz. The Gin Fizz, they have flowered first. These were the first ones to get this tall. They are the first ones to produce blooms, and they are doing great. Now this Pink Wonder, just like the other side, they're not doing so bad. I think this side of the tunnel just retains more water than the other side. So these guys are still a little moist, and they're kind of lagging behind just a little bit. And then we got the runt of the litter. It seems to be producing blooms. This tunnel's been closed up for a long time. For most of its time, it's been closed up. But other than that, these are the two that kind of got a little wonky. They seem to be doing all right. This one, I think this one is the most vigorous plant I got out here, this Pink Wonder. It's doing really, really great. And we're gonna give you a quick look-see. This is our trellis, which is just a stainless steel or galvanized coated cable wire here. So these wires, I don't know if you can tell that, but I got them all set about chest to belly height. And that is pretty much my working area of comfortability right there. But that's how I got all of these wires set. They're all about that high. So I'm just gonna cut a rope from there down to the ground. That rope is gonna be temporary. As soon as these tomato plants get tall enough to attach to this wire, that rope isn't gonna be really needed, as I've heard and seen, anymore. Because once they're attached to this, you will see later on as we go, I will show you what we're gonna be doing. So let's go ahead and we're gonna time lapse doing all these, but maybe one or two, so I can show you after I've had experience doing it and talk about it. So let's go ahead and get after it. This is the QLIPR system. One end of this has this little ball, and the other end is this hook. And you just hook them on there. Don't need a ladder. After you get your cable set up, you don't need a ladder for any of this stuff. And then I just put a little string on here to get these plants trellised till they get tall enough. Put them on this clip here. Got them clipped up real nice. Got them pruned up so nothing's touching the ground. Since I'm not going to be using any sprays or anything in here, I'm going to do strictly organic. I want to keep the disease down as much as possible. So that's going to be me keeping leaves off the ground, keeping more airflow through. So I'm going to be doing a lot of pruning, getting rid of all the suckers while I'm doing this, so I can keep these guys growing where I want them to. So we've already got all these done except for this one right here. We went ahead and hung up our QLIPR hanger. Then we're going to go ahead and put this string on here, and then we're going to clip it down on the tomato plant after we prune it. So we're going to go ahead and kind of take you through how we do one of these. And I gotta say, I think I like this better than the Florida weave, mainly because if you make these strings removable, I'm going to try to reuse these strings maybe next year, and everything's reusable, you know? I mean, I don't have to waste no string so far. At least I think in my head I'm not going to, which is awesome. I really like the idea of reusing all these hangers, not having to buy a bunch of string every 3 years or something like that. This stuff should last me a really long time if I take care of it. So I'm pretty sure this is the way to go. Now, as you go, there's a clip down there attached to the string, and every foot I'm going to put another one as it comes up. And then once we get up to here, I'm going to attach it. Let me kind of show you if I can. The tomato plant's going to go inside this foam. Then we're going to see if I can do this, get it on that guy like that. Tomato plant's going to be in here, and the good thing about this is you can slide the plant up and down. So let's say it grows to here. Next week or next few days it grows up to here. I'll put another clip on there, and as soon as it gets up to the top, I can lean the plant over and take this bottom clip off and move it back to the top. So I only need like 2 clips after I take that one off the bottom down there. Once it reaches this hanger, I'll only need like 2, maybe 3 clips on this hanger, and then I'll just keep leaning it over, and the longer it gets. So I'll be having some really long tomato plants this year, hopefully. And you can only do this with indeterminate varieties. You can't do this with determinate varieties. They are not a vining type plant. So I'm gonna prune the rest of these and get all these done, and then we're gonna fertigate this in with our drip system. As you can see here, I'm just gonna fertigate in that 777 AgroThrive general purpose and some micro boost to all these guys. Keep them nice and happy after I pruned them. I can't stress it enough that since we are only doing organic things in here, no spraying anything for diseases and stuff, that you want to make sure you got plenty of airflow through the plants. And as you can probably tell that I pruned all of these except for this one that we're about ready to do. These all haven't been pruned. You can see so much more airflow able to cross through all these to help keep the disease down. So a healthy plant is a strong plant, and that also will help us out in the long run for growing fruit and keeping our plants alive as long as possible. Now that we got that talked about, let's go ahead and get this guy trellised up. Spot underneath the stem, and this one that I cut off here, that helps hold it in place as well. And we're just going to try to get this string inside those jaws, and then we're going to wrap it around here, go around through this backside again, and we're just going to tuck it back through, because sometimes those like to let loose when you don't have real thick line like this. This stuff seems to want to slip through it, so I just wrap it back around and put it back through, and that seems to be working for now. What do you think about the new QLIPR system that I don't know how long it's been out, but it's new to me. Tell me what you think about it in the comments down below. Do you think you would like this more? Is it a better system? I mean, I'm going to be doing Hortonova Trellis this year. I'm going to be doing the Florida Weave, and I'm going to be doing this. So we're definitely going to compare them in another video after I've had a little more time to tinker with it. But so far, it seems like a one and done situation with this. As long as everything I do is right, it should be fine. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to like this a lot more. I mean, once you get it set up, it's just one and done. You just hang those wires up, and then you don't have to worry about it. So it seems like it's pretty nice so far. Let's see if I can keep up with it. We're going to be doing lots of stuff in this tunnel in the future. Now, the reason that I do most of these videos is for vlogs. It's a lot of information to remember, keep. You know, it's a pretty good video log for me to have when I planted them, when I'm doing this, when I'm doing that, and So far, I'm really happy with this year. I haven't had any issues. These guys, the season extension tunnel is no joke. I mean, if you do it right, you succeed. And so far, it's been pretty good. I've only lost about 3 plants, and that's because I planted them too close to the end walls and the wind was blowing them and beating up the tomato plants, and that's the only reason I lost those, was because the plastic was getting smacked up against those tomato plants that was on the very end or this very end. And I have extras that I replace those with. When you seed start stuff like this and you're counting on it, you seed start extra, you know, so you don't lose plants. But for anybody that was really just couldn't figure out why you would want to plant tomato plants this early, it's because if you're first to market with something, you can make that difference for your business, or you can make that much more money before everybody else comes out in the market with the same crop. If you're the only one that has them and you're the first, you're going to get a lot more heads looking your way, and you can maybe even make a name for yourself, or even get some regular customers because they like your products. So the reason that you want to plant this early is to improve your business, improve your skills, and get that experience of growing in season extension tunnels along the way. You know, I mean, most of this channel is going to turn into more of a weekly entertainment kind of thing. It's not going to be a lot of how-tos. It's just going to be you guys coming along with me for the ride in the garden. So if you like watching our garden season, go ahead and like the video if you like the video. So don't forget to subscribe. It really helps our channel get out there to other viewers. And from the statistics, we have at least 90% of our viewers are unsubscribed. So if you're watching this video, please subscribe. I would appreciate that. If you get anything out of any of my videos, I would encourage you to like it, share it, subscribe. It helps our channel grow, and that's pretty much how YouTube also gives out recommendations for other viewers, is when you comment, like, subscribe, and share. And just all that foot traffic really makes them want to push my videos more. So it's up to you. If you want to support local, go ahead and keep an eye out for us at the local farmers market. If you people live near me, if y'all live near Southern Illinois, you might be able to see us at some of the markets. So this is Not a Pro Gardener here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time out here in the garden. Have a great day. All right, everybody, about 5 hours later, I got all these trimmed up and done.